Hello and welcome to this initial introduction to SRCloud, the new web verification system for use with HP Teleform. We will start off by scanning a batch of forms into the system. This is using the standard Teleform scan station. So if we create a new batch and import some sample images, standard survey forms, and you'll see the sort of thing we're used to. So if I accept the batch, that will pass through to the Teleform reader module as usual and be processed. So we'll just scan batch 169, and as we'll see in the Teleform verifier, 169 currently ready for evaluation. So that's passing its way through the reader module. So it's now finished in reader, and if we look back in Teleform verifier, it's ready for correction. So what I'm going to do is log into the SRCloud system. So we open up a web browser, any common web browser, and log in. Now initially I'm going to log in as a standard user. Within the system we have security and user permissions, so depending on who I log in as, that will dictate what I can see and what I'm able to do within the system. As a basic user, you'll see I have an option just to process the next batch that's available to me, or I can go to a batch list and actually select a batch to process. So there's batch 169. Importantly, we're retaining the batch number from Teleform. The batch exists in both systems at the same time, and we can handle the batch locking. So here we can see when it came through the system, the Teleform job name, the number of documents, and the number of fields to correct. So as a basic user, the option that I have available to me is to verify. And again, users of Teleform will be familiar with the dialog that we have. We have the form on display in front of us, which we can move around with the mouse if we need to. We also, as you'll see on the left hand side, have the form fields. We've actually separated out the virtual fields, but we can access those as well if we need to. And we've also got a little section to view the pages. If we have a multiple page form, we're then able to view multiple pages and jump around the pages as we need to. If we go back to the form field, we also at the top here have some batch information, so we can see the batch number, the document we're in within the batch, and the number of fields remaining. We also have zoom options, so I can zoom in and out of the image, but I'm also able to select a specific zoom, either field level, page width, and whatever I select will stay with me as I move throughout the system. So we're able now to correct the choice field question. We can see that again at the bottom we retain the information that comes through from Teleform as to why this field has come up for correction. So it's a single response question. We have two options chosen. I've got the option to either select by clicking on the image or clicking on the entry field at the bottom, and you'll see that for a single choice we've added a none option, so I can blank out the question if I need to. So we process the form through in the standard way. We can support multiple line image zones as well, so just to illustrate. This was a feature introduced from customer request. Again, something you can do within Teleform, but it's a pop-up dialog that will appear at the end of each document, just giving the ability to click no if you've made a mistake. You can, from the form fields list on the left, actually click back and view any of the fields that you would wish to, if you need to look at or correct anything which you may have missed. So we can then tab on and work our way through the batch as we need to. Constrained print fields, validations from constrained print fields come through, so single multi-response for choice fields. We have numeric, alphanumeric, entry required, values. All those will come through from your Teleform form. So we correct the form as we need to. This is a multiple choice tick box question, so again we can either select on the image or down the bottom we can turn on or off the values. So when we get to the end of the batch is complete. So when we click yes, this time we now drop back to the batch list, and you'll see that this batch is now processing within the system. So we have another level of verification that we're able to implement in the SRCloud system, and this is the verification audit. As a basic user, I'm not able to actually process that audit, so if I just log off and log in as a Supervisor user, we'll see my options now are much more varied because I have higher permissions within the system. So looking at the audit list, you'll see that I now have the ability to look at batch 169, which was verified by Stuart, and I can see that there are actually 9 field changes that were made. So if I want to, I can just mark this batch as complete and let it go through the system, but I can do a verification audit which will allow me to see the fields that have come up for verification by the original user. So in this case, whatever Stuart has looked at or corrected, I am going to see as the supervisor. This is a way of either doing quality control, or some customers use it for training purposes. So we can check the fields that a certain user has done, and then once we're happy they're trained properly, we can let them go and not bother with them in the future. But if a user has made a mistake, then I'm able to correct that mistake and make changes. So at the end of that process, you see that again the batch reprocesses. You can see it's now been verified by Rob and Stuart. And if we just refresh the screen, we'll see that actually batch 169 has now disappeared from the view because the batch is finished within the SRCloud system. If we just drop back into the Teleform verifier, you'll see that that batch is now marked within Teleform as ready to be committed. So I can export it as I normally would, or if I have auto commit turned on, that will automatically commit out into my databases. So finally, I'm just going to take you back into the SRCloud system to show you one more function, and this is the field change audit. So everything that we do within the system is audited. We can come in, and if I have a look at batch 169, we can filter the audit down. Very simply, we can see again the batch number, the start value for each field, the end value, who did it, when, and importantly from which IP address. I'm using a local host at the moment, but again the idea of the system is you deploy it via your own web browsers and your web servers, so you can control the security permissions and access that way. We can see here these are all the values that Stuart has corrected and verified, and these are all the values that Rob has then corrected and verified. So we have a full audit trail and a check of the values that came in from Teleform and the values that have been corrected by any operator in SRCloud that has interacted with that batch. So there are many other features within the SRCloud system, but we'll leave those for another day. If you have any further information requirements or requests, then please don't hesitate to get in touch. Contact details are on the screen, and we're more than happy to give you a live demonstration or talk through some of the additional features and functions that may apply for you. Thank you.